There must be something I could watch. Must be. Oh, hi, James. I was just looking at the paper because we have a festival in Toronto called TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival, something like that. Happens every year, and they always have these great movies. But I usually find it difficult to find something, and this year I thought I must go and see the festival. And there must be something I could watch. And if I miss it, I must not miss it this year. That's what I was thinking. And when I thought of that, I thought of you. That's right, I thought of you because I thought you probably want to know why we use must in so many different ways. And they're different. So I came up with something. Well, let's talk to Mr. E. He came up with something. Say, that must be a new watch because you haven't been wearing one. What do we mean? Well, let's look over here. Must. Must actually isn't what you think it is. Must means this. .u.s.t. Huh? Well, it's actually not understand. Hold on a second. Must, and then we put this here. Must actually, to me, is a big sentence of must be understood as a statement of truth. When we say must, someone's trying to tell you something is true. Okay? Now, from that something is true comes all of this information. Let me give you the first one. Let's look at number 1. Logical conclusion. Well, must be understood as a statement of truth. Now, we did must, if you noticed. Now, if we look at B, we say, because we usually say in English, must be. Mr. E must be wearing a new watch because I've never seen it before. An example would be this, because B here stands for believe. So I must understand something as a statement of truth and I believe it's true. Cool? All right. So we go for our first example. So we got believe. And I would say it must be a new watch. Why did I say that? Number 1, I have not seen it before. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, okay, well, it doesn't have to be new. I haven't seen it before, but he doesn't have a watch. So if I know he doesn't have a watch, and I have not seen this watch before, I would say, that's very fancy English for therefore. See, therefore. Okay? Okay? It must be new. So what I'm saying here is, fact 1, I've never seen it before. Fact 2, he doesn't own a watch. So, conclusion, or logical conclusion, it must be a new watch. Cool? All right. And that comes from, remember what I said? Must be understood as a statement of truth. Now, here's the key thing. Just because I've done this, and in this case, it might be true, it might not be. Maybe Mr. E borrowed the watch from his brother. Right? Maybe he got borrowed. He goes, that's cool, can I borrow it for today? It's not new, it's an old watch, and he still doesn't have a watch. But it's only true I haven't seen it before. That doesn't necessarily make it true. Okay? So when we say it, it's what I believe to be true, and that's what you must understand here. And that's the key to must be. The key is believe, and that's why we get a logical conclusion. If the facts are true, then this must be true. Now this is true in the present tense. Now we can also talk about this in the future tense, like you must be. Okay. So we can talk about in the future sense. You must be leaving soon. Why? Because you have to be home by 8 o'clock. It's now 7:30. It's also getting dark, and you have to drive. So you must be leaving soon, right? Logical conclusion. Now, if I want to say something about it in the past, I have to change it just so slightly. Now, I want to use this term. If I want to say this in the past, okay, so we did future, I just showed that. But if I want to say past, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to add have. Okay? I've talked about this before in other lessons, so you might want to go check them out, where I talk about have and its modal use, or its perfect use. Have is usually a connector. It connects things. That's what I say have means. In this case, you must have been. So by adding have, I have to use a past participle. Verb in its past participle form. That tells me it's in the past. So if I say, you must have been tired yesterday, okay, I'm actually saying, I believe, because that's good, must have, in the past, yesterday, you were tired. So you must have been tired yesterday. Now, once again, I could do something like, because you worked a lot, you didn't eat a lot, and you didn't get any sleep. Therefore, you must have been tired yesterday, not today. Cool? All right. So we've shown how we can use must be to show something as what someone believes to be true in the past, in the present, and in the future. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that's all nice, but why do sometimes people say you must not be? It's still what I think is true, but we call it sort of like a negative proof. What do I mean by negative proof? So let's add that in there, okay? So I'm still going to say it's believe. So you still believe something, even though you say not, because normally you say not, you mean no. Okay? Normally that's what happens. You say not, no. But it's a negative proof. Give you an example. No, I want to put that because that's in past. Okay, let's go like this for you. Okay, Mr. E, okay, has no job. Okay, Mr. E has no money. Then you might say, therefore, Mr. E must not be happy. Okay? Okay? So in this case, we're saying it's a negative proof, saying, yes, I believe something is true, but in a negative sense, not a positive sense. Right? Because otherwise, I would have to say Mr. E must be unhappy, which is just flipping this position of the adjective. Okay? So that's why you hear must not be. It's basically a strong belief in something, right? But in a negative way of saying it. Cool. So we've done the positive, must be. We've done the negative, must not be. We've done the past, must have been. So why don't we look down to here? As I said to you, it's funny how we go from something you believe to something that's absolutely necessary, necessity. Okay? So then we go from here. The next step was go must. Remember what we said? Must be understood as something, as a statement of truth, right? We look at this. Strong recommendation. By the way, something before I forget. When we say must here, I said we always say must be. That's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. Because sometimes when we say that, I don't mean something must be. I can say must like, for instance. Must like. And what I mean by that is, you must like ice cream because you buy it all the time, you offer it to your friends, and it's always in your house. You must like ice cream. In this case, it's still believe, but I'm just going straight here because something must be a statement of truth. And I don't have to put believe. It's understood to be believed. Okay? So sometimes when you see it like that, you have to look for context because context is everything. And in this case, we're saying, I believe still. All right? Cool. Next one. A strong recommendation. Well, we saw what must is here. And we're going to look at strong recommendation. What would that mean? Well, once you believe something's true, then you might recommend it to somebody. And this is going to be interesting because here you notice I have must. If you notice here I have should, because in North America, we usually say when something's right or the best thing to do, you should do it. In England and Canada, we also say you must do it, but we mean it as a strong recommendation. For instance, ladies, you're going out, you see some beautiful shoes. Not mine. They don't smell like roses, but you know, you get the drift, and I don't mean the scent of my shoe. Okay? Now, you see those shoes and you say to your best friend, of course, your girlfriend, girl, buy them. Okay? Must buy them. Okay? Now when we're saying that, basically you're saying, hey look, I believe this is a good deal. It's assumed, that's why we don't put the B on the end, it's assumed you understand the logic behind it. You see the price, you see the normal price, so you go, I believe this is a good price and I ought to do it or I should do it now. Should. Cool? Now when we say this, it can, you must go to see this movie. It's amazing. Must. It's a strong recommendation for the movie, right? And that's going to be a future sense because you're not going to see the movie now. I know you're not because I'm telling you about it, but maybe in 5 minutes. But when I say you must buy those shoes, I want you to do it now. Buy them now because it's a good deal now, okay? And remember, in North America, we can also say should. You should buy it or you should see the movie. And that's our strong recommendation for the best thing to do. Cool? Brilliant. Now, see, I could say this. I could say this as well. But you know the truth of the matter is, when you say you must buy them, there's more of an immediacy to it. There's more of a, you got to do it. You got to do it now. Do it immediately, as soon as you can. When you should, it's like, I want to pontificate. Pontificate is a really fancy word for think about it. But when someone says must, do it now. So it's like must. Powerful. All right? Cool? Great. We've gone from it's logical, Captain. Star Trek, it's just logical, makes sense. To, I strongly recommend it. The next one, we're going to go to necessity and prohibition. They're like two sides of a coin. Okay? If Mr. E was a coin, one side would be the head, and one side would be the tail. Get it? Heads and tail. Why? Because when something's a necessity, sometimes the actual opposite would be a prohibition. You must do this, and you must not do this. For instance, you must study, or you must not fail to study, right? Opposite sides of the coin. One is saying, do not forget to do this, and this is saying, you must act now. Okay? Just opposite sides. But what's interesting about it is this. Okay? You notice this one has a past tense. If you want to do past tense for this one, it's only for necessity. There is no past tense for prohibition. What am I talking about? Well, let's go to look first. Necessity. These three go right in line. First you make it's logical, then you say I recommend it, and then afterwards you say, you know what, just do it. Okay? So we say you must. Okay. So if Ezekiel's thinking about this, you must. Okay? Someone's going to kill you, you must kill him first. Okay? Because if you don't kill him first, he'll kill you. It's necessity. You have no choice. You have no choice. You can't say it like had to kill him. I must have. Not in this sense. In this case, it must. Absolutely. If you don't do it, you're dead. In English, if we want to say the past, the only way to do that is, funny enough, is to change it to had to. I had to do it. You have to do it. Or had to do it. Okay. Prohibition, on the other hand, is when we say must not. You're not allowed to. You have no permission. You cannot do it. Okay? That's the prohibition. And in saying that, we usually use this for near future. You must not forget to take your medicine. You must not, so we'll put that one up there, okay? Must not forget. Right? Now that's near future. Generally what we use for near future. Another way of saying that would be have to. Now I think I've gone on for a long time and I must not take you any longer. So what I want you to do is go to, I'll put it on the board. I must put it on the board for you, right? Okay. So I think it's the best thing to do, right? Okay. Now you mustn't forget this email address. That's email? No, sorry. You must forget that. Remember the website, which is www.eng, as in English, vid, as in video.com. Oh God. I must remember I got to put the dot here. Some people forget, right? So logical conclusion, I must put the dot, otherwise people won't, and they won't get to the website. Strong recommendation. You must come see me and some other videos and other teachers on the site. If you need to improve your English, then you must study what we're offering. And you must not forget what I'm telling you. See, all of the musts used together. There's your tree. Try and remember. Go do the quiz. And I will be happy to see you now, right? Because you must go immediately. See you. engVid.